This is case study 6, script 1, 3D camera tracking. We have some quite dramatic moments in the shot. The camera is static. In this example, I use the default denoise node in Nuke. Denoise the plate before, after. Then after that, I added a disk cache because the denoise node can be expensive. After the disk cache node, a roto node is added here. The reason for that is because we are doing scene tracking, not object tracking. That is the mat we created. Then eventually we'll ignore all the moving elements during 3D camera tracking. Then after the roto node, we removed the lens distortion by using a legacy lens distortion node in Nuke. That's why you can see the overscan size here. If I double click the camera tracker node, in this example we used a rotation only, but in previous projects we used the free cam because the camera was moving, but this one the camera is static, so that's why rotation only is set. Then we leave other options as default. If we switch to the settings tab, you can see here the number of features we set to 500 for this shot. Then after that, start the regular track. If I switch to the 3D view, this is the final result after 3D camera tracking. To export the elements after 3D camera tracking, we used a couple of write geo nodes. The first one is to export the camera as FBX file. The second write geo node is to export the tracking clouds, as you can see here in the scene. And also we calculated the final format for the overscan size and render them out as JPEG, then eventually used as a reference for 3D matchmoving in Maya. To calculate the output format of the reformat node currently is set to 952 by 714. This number is calculated based on the aspect ratio of the original plate. For instance, the current aspect ratio of the plate is 768 by 576. After loading those elements exported from Nuke, we have tracking markers, and also we have the camera here. If we go to the perspective, that's the camera, and those are the tracking markers we created. To calculate the final overscan size, we can use that little calculator in Maya. If you go to the script editor and go to File, open script, and locate it to the folder where your overscan Maya mail is saved. Highlight it, open it, select the camera first, then click it. Now you will get an overscan calculator window. In this dialog window, you have original height and target height. The original height is the height of the live action plate. The target height is the height of the initial overscan size after the lens distortion is removed. In this case, it was 614. However, we added 100 pixels. Now, based on the original height and the target height, then we can do a calculation. The width is 952 and the new height is 714. This aspect ratio is used in Nuke for rendering the final overscan size. If we come back to Nuke, in the reformat node 952 by 714, eventually we're gonna render this size out and use it as a reference image in Maya for 3D matchmoving. With the final overscan size rendered out from Nuke, now we want to load it as a reference in Maya. Select the camera first, then go to Attribute Editor, Image Plane Shape 1. The image name, you have a little folder, then click it, Case Study 6, and Nuke Scripts, and first Nuke 3D Camera Tracking, Overscan Background. And select the first one, then click open. Then after that, you must tick use image sequence. The overscan size of the plate is loaded and matched perfectly with the 3D camera tracking elements. Then after that, probably you have seen a little geometries here. This is built up for match moving purposes and match the animation with the briefcase. Then we created a CG glass bottle matched with this animation, this giving and receiving animation for the CG bottle, then eventually render the CG bottle as 3D assets. In this script, we have 8 sections from the top to the bottom. Okay, let's briefly take a look at these sections. Alright, we started from here, that's the original plate. So the first section is to remove shadows on the wall between the frames 160 to 180. If we load merge 37, we can say that's the result. If we go to the frame 163, that's the shadow, and here really subtle, which is caused by the top area of the tower. So these shadows should be removed. So the concept in here is to use a roto node to create a clean patch, where is before or after the frame that we see the shadows here. Basically, we are fixing the shadows on the wall by using the time offset. Then after that, you can see that's the patch, a pre-multiplied image, and also this one. Then we combine these two together. Then after that, these two patches are piped into here and used to cover the original background plate. If we see the result here, now it's gone. Same thing for this area. A similar concept has been applied to section 2. The reference frame is at 178. If we do a comparison between the original and the result after the time offset, we can clearly say at the same position we use the time offset node to generate clean patches and use the clean patches to remove the toy tower. If we put them on top of the composition here, then eventually we remove the toy tower. So the key point here is the time offset. Use the shifted positions, then eventually we can remove the toy tower. Section 3 is rotoscoping for both hands, and the reference frame is at 160. These are the roto shapes we created. Then eventually we use channel merge nodes to combine them together. For instance, this one, some fixes, that's the hand grabbing the tower and lift it up. Then we start to combine all the mats together. We end up like this, integrated on top of the final composition where the CG bottle is inserted. I encourage you guys to, get the files downloaded and take a look at what is going on here. We're not going to go through every single of these nodes, but basically, as you can see, they're all used time offset. So the key concept in this shot is to use time offset to create clean patches. For instance, at frame 165, we start to fix all the bits and pieces. For instance, to fix the shadows inside the briefcase, because the shadow is caused by this toy tower, but the toy tower is removed, right? We're gonna insert a CG bottle, which is semi-transparent and should give us shadows like this. So these parts should be removed. Eventually, we use the frame at 182. We don't see any shadows left inside the briefcase. We created a clean patch. Then we piped into it like that. We're building up those elements inside the briefcase. This whole area in section 4 is to create bits and pieces, eventually to produce this clean background. If we do a comparison between before and after, you can see this whole tower eventually has been removed. Section 5 is to deal with the wallet, which is here. Then eventually we created this wallet. It's created by using time offset, brought from other frames by using the time offset node. We want to get the glass bottle shadows on it, not the toy tower. Before it was like this, then after it's like this, cast by the glass bottle. Those little details can really bring things back to life. In section 6, the shadow is cast by the glass bottle, obviously, on the man's chest. Then eventually this shadow will be integrated into here. Then after that, to fix the thumb, based on the reference frame, if we go to 177 to see the result, is this one. That is because the glass bottle is semi-transparent. Once the bottle is placed in, it's supposed to see through, right? That's the sun behind the bottle. Then after that is caustics of the glass bottle. And you can see here the reference frame is 160. Now if we go back to 160, caustics left on the briefcase and also the man's chest. A bigger one, then we combine them together, apply the lens distortion to it, before and after. In section 7, we started to consider multi-passes. As you can see here, this is the CG bottle we created. Then eventually we integrated this bottle into the composition we generated here. Because the match move was accurately done in 3D applications, that is why the bottle is following the movement very accurately. Then restore both hands, created in section 3, as we can see here. The roto shapes required in this section should be pixel accurate. The last step is to restore both hands.